Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you for the new subscribers and thank you so much for some of your comments. It's very encouraging to we can have different views, but it's really good when we engage the conversation, or it's very important because these topics are very important, and that's why I'm sharing them with you. Today it's just a simple discussion, today it's a simple discussion I want to make, and I don't know how to start it, but I will do it anyway because I was thinking about it. I was like, how am I going to share this? But anyway, I had a conversation last month in December with my older sister, because with my sister we often talk together about many things. My siblings in general, we talk about politics, we talk about everything, history and societal issues. And then I don't know why I asked my older sister something. I say, why we in Africa, you are Africans, you know what I'm talking about, we study so much of other countries' history. Back home when we study, and I think I said that many times, we study most of the other countries' history. And history, when I was young, I always wondered to myself, why do we study all that? We are not even, you study history of other countries. I do not say that we remember everything, but if you say some words, like, I will know, because it's something that we study in our history. But it's very special because I realized that, for example, in my country, we study a little bit of history of America. We study Europe. Yeah, we study a lot. We study a lot of history in Europe. How for example, when we study the war, the two war, this war, the time of the war, Vietnam War, Indochine War, in high school, and then you study all that. You study Iran War, Iraq. You study the Vietnam War. We study when the Soviet Union falling, it become to decomposed. We study that, and then you realize that, okay, we study all that, and we study also a little bit of history of Africa. Some countries in Africa, you study that, your history of Africa. But then, you study that. It's not like really imposed. Like in my country, they imposed all these other countries' history. But then when you go to America, for example, okay, you speak with Americans and you realize that they don't know much about history of other people in the world. They don't know much about the geography of the world, because we study geography in high school. And that's why even when we finished our complete courses, I don't know how to say that, in high school, for us, African, we know that when you do the high school diploma, that we call general studies, it's crazy, because in history you have to remember most of the chapters. And usually, in our case, for example, usually the teacher will tell you, you study everything. It will never tell you that, oh, go back to this chapter. No, you study everything. That makes the high school diploma very hard, because not only you don't only have history and geography, but you have other disciplines to study, like mathematics, chemistry, and all this, English, Spanish, because even in Spanish, we study some history also, because when you study a language, you study the history. Like, for example, when I study Spanish, we had to study some part of the history of South America in countries. Yeah. And you study also Spain history. Okay. But you study it in Spanish. So it makes it makes it kind of difficult because you have to remember all that, and you have to remember all that, and when they give you hint, you have to remember. If you have to explain the Berlin Wall, you have to explain why they built the wall. Okay, you have to explain how the wall fall and all this. You have to explain the consequences, okay, of the Berlin Wall that fell. And you have to, in history, you have to remember a few things: the date, date, year, everything, the characters, and the place, what happened in this place is very important, So for us, it's like we have to remember all that. And when we remember, they take you to, it doesn't mean that they ask you questions about everything, but it's there in your high school diploma. So I asked her, why in the world we have to study all this in high school? And then she told me when she went to France to study in Paris, they told her, some of the classmates told her that we study history of countries that matter to us. How can I explain that? That if, for example, okay, in the case they were French, they study history of America, they study history of some countries in Europe, and definitely, I think they will be and they study Russia for sure, because most of us we study the Soviet Union, Russia, we study all that. We even study in Africa, we study in Japan and China, we study all that, okay? And we study the Korean War. So then you ask questions to the other countries, and they tell you they don't even know about the history of Africa. And she told me that. So now understand what it means. If there's only study countries that matter to them, now take it to an American student, okay? I try to understand something. America, maybe they have been told to them that they are the top of the world, okay? So it can make sense that they don't study other countries, country of the other people of the world, and because they are probably been taught that they are superior, and that can explain why we see on social media how now social media is exposing that American people are not really educated in many things. They don't know many things, and it's a fact. When you talk to them, you see that they don't know much. Geography, even in high school, you could know name of important landscape or like important step like the Mount Everest, the Gange. If someone tell you where is the Gange, the Gange is India, you know that, So that's why I cannot understand in a way that they can be clueless about so many things, but it's not an excuse because it's shocking when you hear someone telling you that, I didn't know that countries in the world have national flags. Yeah, you have American people, adults like me, they don't know that countries in the world have flags. So you wonder, so you go to Olympic Games. Even when you go to Olympic Games, you don't see the flags of these countries. You don't understand why the people are coming. And you wonder what kind of school what is the education program they have. It's really interesting to know, okay? But that's just something, just something to see, and it makes me remember that it makes me understand that we African, we study history of other countries in the world because we are the less important in the world. It makes sense. And when she told me that, I was like, I get it now. But in a way, it doesn't make us, in a way, we are not important, yes. And then our program made us, in a way, smart, because we study so much that an African student cannot be clueless about what is in the world. It cannot be clueless because we have studied so much that, in a way, even if I don't know everything, but you cannot kick me, you cannot get me out. I will have a basic knowledge of many things. I remember when we were young, you know, we used to watch during the summer Hawaii 5-0, and I was really young. I was a child, like maybe 10 years old or 11, I don't know. And I was watching, and I asked, to my siblings, why Americans, they are playing in Hawaii, and they told me, but because Hawaii is American. I mean, it was obvious, duh. But then you hear some American today who tell you that they don't know that Hawaii is a part of America. I already knew that because we studied that at school, that Hawaii, it was in the 80s, Hawaii 5-0, I don't remember, but you already know that it's a part of America. So how you are American, you don't even know that? In 2020 something, you know? It's very shocking. So even if they're clueless about the world outside, but even about their own country, it's interesting to know that they are very clueless about many things. And no wonder why on TikTok people say, oh, they are bad, because on TikTok, when the Americans were off TikTok, they were banned. You see now people, other content creators, they say, oh, when they weren't there, at least we had interesting conversation in TikTok. But whenever they come, it's always drama or hyper energy and stuff, and not really smart conversation sometimes. Yeah. So